Hello traders, welcome back to today's video. I made an announcement 3 days ago that I was going to do a series on how to determine the daily buys, right? Now let me say this before I begin. This is not by any means saying that it's going to be 100% accurate in terms of giving you every single day the buys, but if you do a little bit of back testing with what I'm going to show you here, you will see that if you kind of apply something like this to determine your daily buys over a period of time, you will see difference in your trading. Okay, so as usual, I like to kind of show you conceptually, and then I'll go to the charts and then show you examples. So let's begin. Now I'm going to do some drawings here. Excuse me for my drawing, but that's all I can do. Basically, you want to highlight your daily highs and lows, okay? And the idea is very simple. Now I adapted this when I was doing some back testing, and I just found out to be it helps me determine the daily buys basically. But anytime price was able to close above this, first of all, if you close above it on a daily basis, right, this is a confirmation that there's a high probability next day price is also going to continue going up. So if this is your daily candle and this is a down candle or it's an up candle, if it's a down candle, fantastic. If it's an up candle, great. If the daily closes above this high, right, then the next day, say this is the 1st of September, this is the 2nd, then the 3rd of September, I will anticipate price continue going higher. So then obviously if you trade ICT, you want to anticipate a low forming in London and then expansion to the upside to form the end of the day, and then that will end up closing above this high again, and then the process continues, right? So the daily is what I basically use to confirm a continuation to the upside. So as long as the daily keeps closing higher, I want to anticipate a continuation to the upside. Now sometimes, right, the daily will not close above the previous day high or low, and the time frame that is closer to the daily time frame I found out to be the H4. So if the H4 is able to close above the daily high, then to me that's a confirmation that price is going to go up. Now the benefit of using the H4 is that sometimes it can get you into a trade as early as the same day. So say this is how price closed on the 1st of September, and we are trading on the 2nd of September. The day is still early, and then you get there, say 10 o'clock, right? The 10 o'clock candle, the 10 o'clock H4 candle. Now if you look at the H4 candles, I think there's about 6 of them. There's one at 2 a.m. There's one at 6 a.m. There's one at 10, and there's one at 2 p.m. and there's one at 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another one at 10, right? So we have 2, 6, 10, 2, 6, 10. These are all H4 candles. So if the 10 o'clock a.m. right candle is able to close above this high on a H4 basis, you have 2 p.m. and then the 6 p.m. candle to come. So that can give you heads up already that that particular day, which is the 2nd, is going to close more or less, say this is the daily candle, it's going to close more or less like this. So this being the H4, let's say let me go back and get rid of this and then draw it from a H4 perspective. So this is the daily high, and let's say this will be the 2 a.m. candle, this will be the 6 a.m. and this will be the 10 a.m. candle, right? So by 10 a.m. we are above this high. So there's a likelihood that by the end of the day, this is how your candle is going to be. So if you have the next H4 candle open and it starts retracing, right, then you can anticipate a buy to go up. This is when New York session buy. I'm not going to go into specifics in terms of how to trade it, but I'm just showing you that you can get as early as 10 or sometimes as early as the 6 a.m. Candle, H4 candle, to close above the previous day's high, and then you already know that price is going to continue going up for the day. Okay, subsequently, whatever I've said, just reverse it. If we close on the downside on a H4 basis, if we close below the low, that means we are going to expect price to continue going down. Okay, so this is how I basically use the H4 to determine the daily bias. Now, like I said, I use both the daily and the H4. So as price is trading on the second, I'm watching the H4 to see if it can close above this high. If the H4 is able to close above that high, immediately I conclude that we will get a bullish close, and then the third, which will be the next day, I'll be expecting higher prices as well. So this will be the first, this will be the second. I get early confirmation on the H4 and I can get a trade that same day, or I'll anticipate a buy for the next day to continue going up. Like I said, when I was starting, it's not 100%. Sometimes price will go into a state of consolidation where it just keeps taking out previous day's highs and low. So sometimes you get price go above this high on the H4 basis and then reject, and you end up having maybe a candle like this on the H4, and price will just come back down like this. And sometimes these ones are the tricky ones, because when this happens, right, the next day can be very tricky to trade. So what I do with this information is I want to look at the previous day. Did the previous day close above the high, the previous day high? If we did, this one here, I will consider it as a retracement, and then I'll still anticipate a buy, as long as the H4 candles are not closing below the previous day's low. I'm still going to anticipate a run to the upside. So maybe that was a run above the high just to come back down into a retracement, and then you will get the next day to expand up to close above that high. So this is something that whenever it gets into this situation here, it can get a little bit tricky. So usually what I do is what I've just showed you here. I look at the previous candle to determine where are we closing. Are we closing higher or are we closing lower? And then I'll conclude with what I'm going to do. So if we are closing higher, like here, then I will expect higher prices, and I'll anticipate this as a cause of price pulling back to continue going up. All right. The same thing on the downside. If price takes out the previous day's low and then reject and comes up, I'll look at the previous candles to see are we closing bullish or are we closing bearish. If we are closing bearish, I will expect price to continue going down. The only time I will switch is if the daily is able to go up and close above the previous candle. Then I'll confirm that this was not just a run, but it was a reversal, and then I'll expect price to go up. All right. If you don't understand what I just said, just rewind or repeat what I've just said from the beginning, and it will all start making sense. Okay. Now, obviously, there is more to this, but I've given you the basic of how to determine the daily bias for the next day. So very simple. Did we close above the previous day's high, or did we close below the previous day's low? Both on the daily time frame, and you can get a very early confirmation on the H4 time frame, right? So let's go, and then I'll show you some examples. As you can see, I've already drawn some lines over here, and this is the Euro USD. So let's start from the 10th of August, right? So on the 11th, we had this H4 candle close below that, right? So on the 15th, which was the following week, I'll be expecting a sell on Monday, right? And because of the close below this day low, right, we had the 15th to continue going down. The 15th also had a H4 close below this low here, and then we'll be expecting the 16th to also continue going down. Now if you look at the 16th, right, that also closed below the 15th low. Okay, and notice that price did not go down as expected, but it didn't go up either. Why? Because price is closing bearish. In this case, the only time I will reverse my decision is if we're able to come all the way back up here to close above that high on the H4 basis. So the fact that this particular day on the 16th couldn't go up here to close above it, I still remain bearish. Okay, so this would be the 17th. You can also see the 17th did not close above the 16th, so that is a stop run on the previous day's high. Again, because we are closing bearish, like I said, if this case happens or this scenario happens, I'll look at the previous days and then see, are we closing bullish or are we closing bearish? If we are closing bearish, then I will still look for continuation to the downside. So you can see on the 18th, ultimately price dropped down. Now in here, if you don't understand, you might get confused. So just listen to what I just said here over and over again. If we close in bearish and we get into this scenario here, because the previous days has been closing bearish, I will still remain bearish until the daily, not the H4, okay, the daily is able to close above the previous candle. So over here I can see that the daily did not close above that, right? So I don't want to switch to the daily. But if you switch to the daily, if you look at this example here, definitely this candle did not close above that high, so you wouldn't expect higher prices, you will still expect lower prices. So that's what we got here. Again, by the end of the day, price closed below that, so the 18th closed below the 17th, so on the 19th we'll be expecting lower prices, and that's what we got. 19th also closed below the 18th, so on the 22nd, which is another week because we're going to weekend, that's Friday, we expect lower prices, and that's what we got. And the fact that again 19th closed below, sorry, the 22nd closed below the 19th, we will be expecting lower prices on the 23rd. But on the 23rd, price opened, it went down and then rejected and went back up again. We did not get a close below this daily low. Actually we did here on the H4 basis, we did. Now if you do a little bit of back testing, I wouldn't consider this as a close, and the reason why is because of this wick. Okay, there are rules that I have created for myself when it comes to applying these things. So when you go and back test, you might have your own rule. You might include this as a close, but I don't. All right, I want a full body close like this, right? That's what I'm looking for. So that's why I've made it a rule not to use that. But because again we've been closing bearish, right, then I'll expect price to do what? Price to continue going down. So on the 24th, right, we didn't close below nor above. Okay, on the 25th, what happened? On the H4, price actually closed above the previous day high. But remember what I said, when we've been closing down like this, I want to use a close above the previous day high on a daily basis, not on the H4. So this would not be counted as a close. Why? Because on the daily, price closed back down here. So it's like we opened here and then we closed there. So it's not a close above the previous day. All right. So I wouldn't consider this as a buy for the next day, even though it did go up, right? But I wouldn't consider that as a buy. I will still be expecting lower prices, to be honest, because we have not closed above on the daily basis the previous day. So on the 26th, we had candle close. Sorry, on the 27th, we had the on the 29th. My bad. That was weekend. That's Friday. So we had 28th, 29th. 28th was a Sunday. 29th, we closed below the Friday's low. Price rejected. So we're still gonna continue being bearish, right? And you can see same thing here, price never closed. Same thing here, price never closed on the previous day's high. So we're gonna continue being bearish. Let me extend it so you can see it never closed. Okay, and then here we never closed above it, so we will continue to be bearish. So the idea is all you want to look for is sells in this condition here, regardless of what is going on over here. All you're looking for is sells. Now, like I said, I won't go into too much details on strategy on entry and TPs and stop losses here. I will do that in the series that I will do, but not today. Okay, so here we closed below that. Next day we are expecting price to go down. We actually went up and then back down. We did not close below, but we eventually did on the 5th of September over here, right? So we will continue being bearish, and then as we go forward, we had a daily close above the previous day over here. Now this is when I will buy the next day. So if you look closely, the day closed here, right? And the H4 also closed above it. So this is when, like I said, I'll start buying. So the next day I'll anticipate a buy, and I'll expect price to close above the previous day. We did here, buy, close, and then we resumed going down again from here. So this particular day, that will be a day that I will take a loss, because I would have expect price to go higher, right? So maybe using ICT ideas, or how we've all been trained by the maestro. I'll be using OTE to buy here, and then I get stopped out, right? And then the daily also confirmed that we are going to go down again, because this day we actually closed back below the previous day low right here. So then on 14th, 15th, and then 16th, every day I'll be looking for sell, right? So if you look closely, right, if you apply everything that you know in terms of how to sell, right, you get a sell over here, you get a sell over here, you get a sell over there, you get a sell here. Over here you can also get a sell if you understand OTE, and then you don't get a sell anymore until here, because that's when the daily close below and a candle again. So you can get a sell that day, price goes down, you can get a sell that day, price goes down, and then on the 7th of September we get a change in direction. So you get buy on the 8th, you get buy on the 9th, you get buy on the 10th, and then on the 11th you try to buy again, price stops you out, and then you attempt to sell. All right, so it's very simple. I don't want to make it too long. I want you to go in and back test it and then see what you can find and how you can use it to help yourself in your own trading. It's very simple, right? All you need to do is highlight your previous day's highs and lows and see what price is doing. Are we closing higher? Are we closing lower? And then based on that, it can give you your daily bias. Okay, so the close means that the next day you are bearish if we close below, and the close above means the next day you are bullish. So all you have to do is, if market opens and you see it retracing, don't think that price is gonna go to hell. Just look at it as price is retracing for me to get an entry. And then if we close higher, like for example here, we close higher, price comes back down, we don't think it's a reversal, it's just giving us an opportunity to be a buyer, and then we buy. Same thing here, right? I actually traded these two here. All right, so you can go onto your pair, your favorite pair, and then apply what I've just showed you here, and then see what you can make of it. Okay, so going into this week and next week, I'll do my best to kind of record. I'll not record the trading itself, but at the end of the day, I will send a video and then I'll show you whether the daily closed above the previous day high or low, or the H4 closed above the daily high or low, and I'll give you for the next day the bias that price is going to trade. For example, let's say we go into Monday. Okay, we go into Monday, and then Monday price eventually closes below this low. So on Monday evening by 10 o'clock, right, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., I will send a video out to tell you that we actually closed below the Friday's low. So on Tuesday, so this will be Monday, so Monday eventually closed below Friday's low. So Tuesday you'll be expecting lower prices. So Tuesday might trade maybe manipulation and then expansion, and then it will close below that low, and then I'll send another video and say Wednesday we'll be expecting lower prices, and then Wednesday comes, price goes up, and then you expect it to fall. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do going into next week. So hopefully this video has helped you and is going to help you in determining your daily bias. So hopefully you enjoy it. If you want to learn more, hit me up in the Telegram. You will see my Telegram below the video. And then if you have any comment, if you have any question, feel free. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.